My idea for this video is how can I get you to just add points today? As soon as you watch this video, what are some things I can give you that's just going to instantly boost your score, right? These are going to include tips that are going to improve your accuracy, but on top of that, concepts and strategies for certain types of questions that are also just going to help you get them right as soon as you learn them. So hi, I'm Karthik. These are tips and tricks that instantly add points to your SAT. Let's get right into it. The first concept, SAT reading strategies, right? My best strategies for these types of questions. So I'm going to lay out the type of question and the strategy that I use. And these are my best, the ones that I actually give to other people knowing that they're going to fully work, right? The first one, definition questions, right? So the questions where it's like in line 60, what exactly did this mean? In line 30, what does this word mean, right? And so many people, they'll read the answer choices and then go to the line and try to match the word to the answer choice. That's the wrong thing to do. What you want to do is correctly identify the meaning, right? And what I mean by that is, let's say it's line 63. What you're going to go is go to line 63 and find the sentence that word is included in. Let's say the word is just this, right? Obviously, it's not going to be that simple, but you're going to see the sentence that it's in. You're going to read that sentence, right? Read it out fully with the word included. And then without looking at the answer choices, what I want you to do is just hypothetically, not even hypothetically, just like figure out what that means in your own words. Don't use the answer choices as a reference. Just like, okay, in that context, what did this mean, right? Like in terms of like, that's the word this, right? What did that word mean and how can I phrase it in my own words? What's a definition I can make myself, right? And once I made that definition, I'm going to use that definition and go to the answer choices and see the word that aligns closely to the definition that I just created. And that's literally a fail-proof way. I've seen so many people who struggle with these types of questions. They apply this strategy and just boom, instantly get it right. Okay. The second thing is evidence pairs. Now, I've always talked about actually reading the evidences and then going back to the questions, but here's a revised version that I just like encountered on one day while doing it and found that it actually like helps you speed up the process a lot, right? So you should have a general idea of what the whole essay is by now. If you don't have that, you're going to like be losing some information that you potentially could have, right? So that's why I recommend doing a full read at the beginning and taking it in like the questions, like not in order, but just like in general order, right? So you can like for main idea questions, I do them last. And for evidence pairs, I do them all like right before then, but all the other questions I do in order and I fully read the passage beforehand, right? So the first thing with evidence pairs is you want to run through the selection of choices. You want to run through your answer choices and basically make presumptions, right? So think that, okay, like this seems like it would generally be true. This seems like it's probably not true. This seems like it's true, but be open to it being disproven by a quote, right? And here is the main thing, right? I don't understand how people don't realize that it's actually this simple, right? The main idea is actually we're looking for the most explained quote, right? So we get a quote, right? And we read through it and that quote needs to explain explicitly in the highest degree one answer choice, right? So if I read a quote and it can loosely apply to multiple answer choices, then it can't be it. It has to extremely to like a very, very strong specific degree apply to like one answer choice, and it has to be so explicitly stated what that is. So it needs to be very clear what that is. So look for the most explicitly explained answer choice as a result of one quote, right? That one quote is going to explain that answer choice. And if it just doesn't explain it properly or there's key points that are actually incorrect, it just can't be it. Right? So we're just looking for one quote, one answer choice, right? And the most explained one, right? Main ideas, I already referenced that I do them last, but the reason why I say that is because your understanding of the whole passage actually gets better as you answer the questions. The questions actually help you discover more about the passage by pushing you in certain ways, in certain directions. So I just do them last, right? Because you're going to have a better idea of what main ideas are. But for main ideas specifically, if you struggle with it, one of the focuses is describing like specifically what you're targeted, right? So let's say like the main idea of like lines 27 to 37, right? And let's just say that's one paragraph. You want to just like read that so carefully, so slowly, right? And essentially you read it so carefully, mouth the words to yourself. It helps you understand it more and read it. And what you're looking for is just any explicit like detail or information that's just gonna like basically that detail is going to align with a bunch of other details, and that's what the main idea is, right? So you are looking for I say a specific detail, but the answer choice isn't that, right? The answer choice is the culmination of all those specific points and details that eventually becomes your answer, right? Okay, so some tips, right? This is overall going to apply the whole test, going to improve you instantly. Everything is explicit. As we talked about before, the quotation has to explicitly like answer the choice that you pick, but this doesn't just apply to that. This applies to literally every single reading question, right? The explicit answer is going to be there. You're going to have to look for like a specific quote, a specific part of a passage that entirely explains an answer point, right? If you're guessing or you're estimating or you're not referencing the passage and finding your answer choice, you've missed a detail or you're simply not doing that, right? Slow down, right? How can you read so deeply and explicitly if you don't slow down your reading, right? It's okay to read very quickly on the first time around just to get a general idea of all the main plot movements, right? And if it's a scientific passage, there's no, like, I actually would argue there are plot movements because of the idea that, like, the author like shifts talking about things and like explains or introduces the thing or then like goes against it, right? There are movements and plot points in almost every single type of SAT passage, regardless of what topic it is, even if it's not a story. So identify those during like the careful read, but like slow down when it's asking you to like read line 31. What does it mean by when it says this, right? But no, don't just read that line specifically. Read a little before and after it so you know the context, and especially read the context if that quote has words like this or that, or it references ideas that are previously mentioned. Those previously mentioned ideas are still what that quote is talking about. So you need to know what those previously mentioned ideas are, right? Figure out those just by observing them, right? It's pretty much that simple. Grammar question strategies, right? In a previous video of mine, it's titled like 5 hacks for SAT English. I cover a bunch of grammar strategies for the most popular questions and even questions that aren't specifically grammar related, but show up on the grammar SAT and what you need to know about them. So just watch that video to know just most of the grammar strategy for questions. And I also have other grammar strategy videos way earlier from like August that you can watch that talk about specific question types as well, right? But here's the main idea. There's nothing I can really give you that's going to instantly improve your score, right? Except if you know the explicit rule or concept, right? So just follow this framework for every single grammar strategy question. Know the explicit rule. If you're using your ear, as in you're speaking it to yourself, you're trying to sound it out and see if it sounds right, that's wrong. You're not going to get the question right if you're just sounding it out and not applying the rule. You need to fully know the rule and then be able to apply it. And that's how you get it right almost all the time, 90% plus, right? And people will use their ear, get the question right once and think that's a valid strategy, but then wonder why they get the question wrong multiple other times, right? So you can't just use your ear. You're never going to get it right more than 50% of the time. And you might get it like 60% of the time correct, but you're never going to get it right all the time by using your ear, even if your ear is very good, right? And that's like 60% accuracy. But we don't want 60% accuracy. We want 100% accuracy, right? Or if not even 95% accuracy on one type of question, right? You can't instantly get questions right. And that's the main idea. There's nothing I can instantly give you, right? The idea is that what are things I can instantly give you that's going to boost your score? The thing that I can give you that's going to boost your score, not instantly, it might take like a couple hours or so, is that you need to learn every explicit rule. If you spend the next 2 to 3 hours learning all the explicit rules, I literally guarantee you that you're going to improve your score so dramatically if grammar is a hard point from you. So if there's anything you take away, spend time to learn those grammar rules that you don't know. Do you know all 5 functions of a comma? Do you know like all the right rules for certain things? Like you just need to know all those things, right? Like you need to know subject verb agreement. You need to know like independent dependent clauses. You need to be able to identify that in every question. So just spend the 2 to 3 hours and actually learn that, and I guarantee you're going to improve your score. Okay, math strategies. I'm going to run through all of them. The previous idea, right, that I talked about, it still applies, that you need to learn the concepts and then be able to apply the rules. But here are a bunch of things that you can do that aren't those rules that's going to guarantee accuracy. So that whole spiel that I give before, it applies to math as well. Learn those rules, but these things are they don't really involve rules, and you just apply them and they'll help a lot, right? shortcuts in all algebra based questions on the SAT. Like if there's 8 algebra based questions on the SAT, 7 of them are going to include some version of this, right? If they ask you, right, so let's say the equation is like 2x plus 100 equals 200, right? And they ask you what is x plus 50, right? They don't want you to solve for the variable and then plug it into x plus 50 and then find that. They want you to just reduce the whole problem, right? Divide it by 2 so you can just get the right answer, right? You don't need to solve for x to know what the phrase is, right? So every time they ask you for something like 2x minus 5 instead of just x, they want you to not solve for x, but to reduce the problem so that you can actually get what the answer is from there. There's always a shortcut you can apply in algebra-based questions by just reducing/simplifying, right? Use answer choices. The answer choices on the SAT literally provide you, not only can they provide you the answer, right, for plug and chug type of problems, which I'll explain, they can also help you get information, right? So in every single answer choice, if there's something in common, that's information that can help you solve your problem, right? And they often do include information that could be actually useful because all the problems have it in their answer, right? So let's say like every single problem or every single answer choice in a problem has 0 as the y coordinate. You know the y coordinate has to be 0. That's guaranteed, right? But for plug and chug problems, you're going to have problems where it might actually be more difficult to solve than to just take the answer choices, plug them in, and see if they actually work and get the right answer, right? Essentially what that's doing is sacrificing a little bit of time for guaranteed accuracy. So do that if you want to guarantee that you get the problem right, but know that you're sacrificing a little bit of time by not knowing how to solve it quickly, right? Draw diagrams, but not only draw diagrams for like visual type questions, but go through hypotheticals, right? There was a problem that I just did with a student that was like on the October SAT, and it was just like something along the lines of there was like a bike rental company is like the first hour to rent a bike is $8 and every other hour is $4, right? So go through hypotheticals, right? How much would it cost me at 1 hour? How much would it cost me at 2 hours? How much would it cost me at 3 hours? Now you have points that you can plug and chug with the answer choices, right? Because the answer choice was just what is the equation for if h is hours, how many is it, right? And you can make your own points from the hypothetical and then make sure that they apply to the problem, and because you don't need to solve for the equation, right? Here's what to do ASAP. Practice reading strategies, right? The reading strategies I went through, practice them, do them as soon as possible so you actually remember them, right? Learn the grammar and math concepts that you feel unfamiliar with or you just genuinely don't know. Like something that you did a while ago but you just forgot, do it right now. You know, take the time to learn that. Take the next 4 hours in somewhere in between like your next day, today, tomorrow, day after, to just learn those concepts so you actually remember them. If you don't do these as soon as you can, you're going to lose points as a result of just not getting the free points that I'm just giving you by do this. If you're interested in SAT prep, click the link down in the description below. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you learned something today.